Hello, and welcome to Turkish Philanthropy Fund's Voices of Partners with Basic Needs Association, also known as Temel İhtiyaç Derneği, TİDER. Today, we are joined with guest speaker and general manager of TİDER, Nil Tibukoğlu. We will discuss the systematic causes and impacts of poverty in Turkey and how to address it. The COVID-19 pandemic and slower economic growth have made larger disproportions in our communities facing food scarcity and inability to obtain their basic needs, safe and secure shelter, and more. Poverty is more than just a lack of income or a ability to have productive resources. It is a humanitarian issue in every way. It impacts socioeconomic growth, limited access to education. It causes hunger and malnutrition, and societal discrimination and exclusion. It is also the lack of participation in decision-making. Today, we will dive deep into challenges and opportunities of poverty eradication. Nil, welcome to the program. Before we dive into why we are focusing on poverty and how TİDER provides concrete solutions to fight against poverty and waste in a holistic model, I would love for you to speak a little bit about yourself and your background, how you became involved with TİDER.
I actually was in a tourism business for nearly 20 years, but I was also volunteer with some of the associations which are working on humanitarian basis and like food banking. I was a supporter of a TİDER also, our Basic Needs Association. Then I was asked to be in the team 3 years before. So the tourism was not going very well, in Turkey. So I decided to be a part of it, and I'm now a general director for 3 years now. Your voice is back.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's great to have you on the program. Now I would love to learn more, tell our speakers more about TİDER and how the organization got started.
The TİDER Basic Needs Association is built in 2010. It's now 12 years association. It's really hard to be at the same level and at the same vision in Turkey for 12 years. We have some difficulties about the laws and the regulations. So we are very pleased that we are on the 12th year now. It's built as a food banking association first, and they were working on a food banking to prevent waste and poverty. First, they were actually working with the disaster areas, like Soma. There was a very big accident in 2008. They were working there very hard. They were really hard times for them. They built a cooperation for women, and they taught how to make a soap and the candle to the women there, and they left the cooperation there and come back to Istanbul. And after that, in 2014, they decided to build a example food bank as a market style in Maltepe area. So after that, the network, I can say this is a network now, because we have 66 food banks all over Turkey in 7 regions, 35 cities. And now TİDER is a food banking network in Turkey. So we became with one. Now that project, which was built in 2014 as a market, is given to Maltepe governorship, and it's a partnership now. And we move towards, I can say, because it's a very big, it's a really challenge in Turkey to explain food banking and build new food banks all over Turkey. So we are still getting enlarged, and now in 66 food banks, we are still trying to, enlarge our capacity.
Wow, 66 food banks. So where are the neighborhoods that you're working in? And what are the main neighborhoods, I guess, because if you have 66 locations, which ones are the main ones?
Actually, our first project was in Istanbul, Maltepe. This is our first project. But there are really, really successful food banks in all over Turkey now. We have given our, experiences. We have shared our experiences with them. We have educated them about food banking, and they made really successful business in all over Turkey, I can say. But Istanbul is a very big city, so everything is in Istanbul, in Turkey. I mean, there's a really big gap between the incomes. So all the poverty is in Istanbul. All the rich people are in Istanbul. So we are more focusing on Istanbul, unfortunately. Of course, Anatolia is a big area, but in Anatolia, we don't talk about these kind of deep poverties. Fortunately, I can say. We don't talk about, hunger. But in Istanbul, it's now a big deal. Hunger is on the door, and we are talking about the hunger in nearly 1 year. We are not talking about the death because of the hunger, but I'm sure it's getting closer, and it's very sad. So we are focusing on Istanbul. We have 20 food banks just in Istanbul. We are supporting some, warehouses. There are 3 kinds of food banks in Turkey: warehouses, markets, and soup kitchens. You are very, used to that soup kitchen style. I know that, and the warehouse style in America. But we are supporting especially market style in Turkey, because our people don't have their cars. They are really, hard time to carry all the boxes to the houses. That's why we prefer for them to come to the markets and choose whatever they want and go to their houses. That's why we are promoting market style in Turkey.
How does the market style work, since that's an area that's a little unfamiliar? Like you said, we are quite familiar with food banks and whole warehouses in America. But if you can share with us how the food markets work, and how do people make the purchases, or do they get tickets?
Food banks receive donations and give out these products to, without money. So in the market, when I can say disadvantaged family come and assign for, food bank, we take their details, personal details, and we search for them. We go to their houses and see how they live, and we also check with the government, because most of our food banks belong to municipalities, governorships, so they are also checking if they are right or wrong. So then if they are okay with the system, they became a beneficiary of a food bank. Then we assign point to their ID cards. Now, it can be a special card given to them, or just an ID card. For example, some families have 200 points, some families have 100 points, some families have 600 points. But these points are not liras or any currency. This is just points, because we receive donations from the producers and from the farms, from retailers. So we don't pay anything to get them. That's why our prices are very little. For example, you find a box of chocolate in a market for 10 lira. In a food bank, you see it's just 1 point. Then the points are really good for them. So they come and choose whatever they want. As a normal market, it's a really small market. It's a corner shop like. And they come, they choose whatever they want. They come to the cash and we, receive the points from their cards and they go to their houses.
So it's a very well vetted and organized system that you guys have established, where you truly are making sure only those that are really in need get to benefit from these opportunities, but you have multiple options and channels for people to benefit from them. And it's great that you're working with the production companies and grocery stores. This also, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but helps with the elimination of food waste, which also helps the environment. So how do you measure your impact, and have you seen changes? How do you measure that impact and the changes that you've seen in these communities?
Actually, it's the food banking system is very measurable. We can see the impact right away. It's a very good other associations like children's and education, the others. When the beneficiary comes to us, for example, a woman, they never have an experience to buy a lipstick from a normal market because they don't see that right to buy anything else except food. But we have lipsticks, for example, in our food bank. We have plates. It's small decorational plates, for example. When they come to the market, they see that and they have right to take it, not to buy it. So they are easily take it. And after 3 or 4 months, you see the difference with that woman. It's really important for me. It hits me very much. And every time I talk about this, I get really emotional because you can see the changes in maybe 3 months. She can come to the market, I think in all the cultures, but in Turkey, women go to the markets, not the men. So our representatives are women, especially in all these food banks. So they come to the market the first time. They take maybe a coat, maybe a lipstick, toy for her children, and maybe a candy. And the other foods, it's the flavor and wheel and everything. So in 3 months, you can see the changes. She used that lipstick and come to the market again. You see their changes with the body. They come like this at the third time, maybe fourth time. And when you see that, we say, it's okay, we have done our job. And, we have another project inside with all these projects. We have human resources project. So when they come to our food banks, we are talking about their problems, not only the poverty. We are talking about the disabilities in their houses, or if they don't work, we ask why don't you work? So we are trying to find a job for them. This is the sustainable way to, about the food bank. We believe that.
So the impact, my understanding, goes far beyond just providing them with basic needs and essential items and food. It also helps, their confidence, their mental health, their overall well-being. And you provide them with the resources that if they need something extra at home, or if they do need help finding work, or if there is a disability, you're there for them in that capacity as well, which is very wonderful. And I think that adds even more heart to the organization. And I love that. Before we go into sharing maybe some highlight stories, if you could provide us with some numbers, what are, the poverty numbers that you're seeing in Turkey right now, and maybe how many families have you helped within the last 2 years? If you have something that you can share on that line.
Sure. At the last calculations, we have 879,000 people in our community. These people are assigned in our food banks. So we are providing products for our food banks, and they are distributing them to nearly 900,000 people all over Turkey. And unfortunately, it's getting larger because poverty is a big issue now in all over the world, but in Turkey also because of these inflation and everything. The prices is getting higher and higher. It's unbelievable. Even in I hear that today I was in a seminar with a big company, and we have this government staff there. We were talking about the poverty in Turkey. So they said in all over the world, the food prices are getting lower and lower now in these days. But in Turkey, it's getting higher and higher still. It's getting higher. So it's not going well in Turkey now. Poverty is getting really, really high. The percentage was 13. I mean, when you compare with the population, it was 13% of. We had a 13% of how can I say, poverty, but it was before the pandemic. Now we believe that it's nearly 30% of poverty we have in Turkey. So if we say we have 80 million people in Turkey, you can calculate it.
Yeah, 30% of the population is in the poverty line right now, and people are truly facing critical challenges. And
it's not getting better.
Exactly. And like I said before, poverty is so much more than just a lack of income or resources. It affects everything, and it really strips people's basic human rights when they don't have access to safe and secure shelter, education, food, when they're caught wondering how they'll make it. And then, also you see situations in Turkey, I'm sure you see this often, where people don't go to school because they begin working immediately because their family needs the support. And with the growing inflation and with the growing poverty line continuing to increase, I'm worried we will continue to see more of that. And I think that really strips away the future generations that we might be able to see in Turkey. So if you do have a couple stories from people that you've helped out, I did really enjoy the woman with the lipstick, but if there's another story you can share with us of how you've measured your impact and how you've seen it firsthand through those experiences, that would be wonderful.
Sure. We have a van. We call it mobile food bank, and it's receiving donations and also giving out these donations to the poorest side. I can say poorest people. It's I cannot
the most
explain
disadvantaged communities.
But they don't have houses, they don't have any schools, they don't have any markets. No, any of the markets are not going into that area because of the security. So they are like not existing in Istanbul, but they are there. We know that. So we are receiving donations with that truck, and we give out these donations with this truck to that areas in Istanbul. We have nearly 2,000 people like this we can reach. And last year we had a project with the Poverty Network, and we have reached 200 people every month. And we, give them food and textiles. Some areas had that school, which the children doesn't have any school products. So they cannot go to the school because they don't have a pen or pencil or anything. So we had that grant from an international company. So we have, purchased some school products and give them to these children so they could go to the school. Last year it was nearly 500 students there, and I'm sure that they are still using these products this year, so we are still helping them, of course. But as I say, in food banking you can measure some of these impacts right away. For example, we have 119 people. We have found a job for them. There are now 119 people, and if you say 119 people, you have to multiply with 4 because they have families, maybe 5. So these families, they don't need us anymore. This is a really big relief for us. We continued helping them for nearly 6 months. Then they moved on. This is a really big enjoy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We have also volunteering, activities in our association about the children. For example, we had a boy. He was in Maltepe area. We had this organization. We would bring them to Zumba club for a day. One of our volunteer arranged that. So we have collected nearly 15 children and brought them to Zumba club. I heard that he was really into music. He was really excited about the music. When we talked to him, he said, "I never listened to music before. I just heard somewhere, but I never listened a special music." So he was very active, and he was very happy, and he was good at music. He had ears and everything. So we have talked to his school, and now he's in music departments, choro. Did I say?
Yeah, chorus.
Yeah, he's in there, and still, maybe he will be a musician. I don't know.
Exactly, but giving those opportunities in those communities that really, could benefit from them. And I think that, again, this has reiterated how much the work that you're doing as an organization goes far beyond just providing those basic needs for people like food and you're giving people hope, you're giving people opportunity, you're helping them establish themselves, get set on their own, like the family who you supported for 6 months, but then finally were able to support themselves and move forward. And just sometimes it's just being able to give someone that chance that they might not be able to obtain themselves, and working with those communities that really need them. I would like to also speak about how you're dealing with food waste and how food waste is impacting poverty. I think it's great that Tidar works with production companies and warehouses to eliminate the food waste, and we're seeing that becoming a huge trend among, I think, all over the world, but especially in the US, we've seen this as well, and in Turkey doing it as well, making sure that no food goes to waste, because 790 million tons of food is wasted every year, and it spreads 3 billion carbon dioxide. I think I said that wrong, but so if you'd like to share a little bit about that and how you're working in that area.
Sure. In the world, food banking is known as the best answer for, to prevent food waste and loss. Now, we know that as all the world. And in Turkey, it's getting, better and better when we are talking about the food bank. We still need some laws, regulations. They have to be improved, but it's getting better. We are working on food banking for 12 years. So we are working on preventing food loss and waste for 12 years. Food loss is different and food waste is different. Food loss happens in, maybe at the sea while they are hunting, at the farms and at the maybe storage areas, at the logistics. But after that, we were talking about the food waste. So we are working in the farms and the logistic companies and the warehouses, and at the end, with the retailers and the people who wants to donate food to us. So in total, in Turkey, we are not very, innocent about this. More than 7 million tons are wasted every year.
Wow.
And, we in Turkey, that, but maybe some of them don't. The bread is very important for us. In every houses we have bread. Did you take the bread? And we don't have a bread. It's a kind of panic. But in Turkey, every day 5 million breads are going to waste. Every day, not every month or week. So it's a very big, it's a very big
every day.
Every day. In our garbage, it's big waste areas in out of the cities. It's measured that 52% of this garbage is food in Turkey. So it's really sad. We can prevent poverty just by saving these food, maybe half of them, or maybe less than half, and to give out these foods to disadvantaged people. We are working on this. We are working with the farms. For example, we have rescued 60 tons of potatoes this month from Konya area. We are working. I mean, Turkey is a big country, as an area. So it's really hard to reach every farmers, but we are trying to talk about this everywhere, in television, in radio, in seminars, and everywhere. And so we are talking about this. You don't have to waste this food. You can donate this. There's just one law in Turkey about this. So if they donate food to us, they can deduct this amount from their taxes. But there's only one rule. They don't have to make donation. If they want to make donation, it's okay. That's why we are really trying really hard, talking to everyone about food banking and donation policies. And we are talking with every municipalities and governorships to build a food bank in Turkey.
That actually brings me to how TPF and TDAR are working together as partners. The campaign that we have launched for TDAR on TPF's site is to actually expand the food banking network. And as you're working to solve the food waste and support these communities, you need the trucks and the minivans to do this. So the campaign that we have going on right now for TDAR is to help you get a minivan with a cooling system so you can go to these areas and have the necessary food, toiletries, textiles, whatever it may be, and reach more people, especially, as you were saying, in these rural areas or these underprivileged areas that are almost invisible to the general public when people don't know about them. People aren't doing the legwork for them, and you're out there really trying to reach them. So again, we also have a TPF's Deep Poverty fund, which we have established to gain donations. And then if one of our partner organizations like TDAR has a project that isn't their campaign page project that they're working on, maybe if it's something for the market or a specific family or something like that, donations made to the Deep Poverty Fund help address those types of that type of support. So you can find this at donate.tpfund.org. I will be sharing the links to both TDAR's campaign page and the Deep Poverty Fund at TPF when I upload the video later and share this on social media for anybody that's watching and is looking for how to reach it. But again, you can go to donate.tpfund.org and find TDAR under our partners and read more about their campaign, how we're working together. But as we come to closing the program, Nil, thank you so much. It's been very informative, but I would like you in your own words to tell us what are the needs and how can our donors and our community help those in Turkey and those that are a part of the TİDAR community.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here first. And it's really great to talk with you, especially.
Likewise.
I mean, I'm in this association as a volunteer. I'm also a volunteer because I believe that giving someone a 1 lira is not a solution, but giving 1 lira to a system to prevent these problems it might be a solution. Of course, we have to work with the government and the big companies, but we need people to believe in us and help us, because if you give us 1 lira, it will come to the beneficiary like maybe 10 lira or 20 lira as a soup or as a rice or a coat maybe, because we are using these 1 lira for our operation costs. We are paying the salaries, we are paying the rents, and we are paying the gas and everything. That's why if you support any system, it can be about an education, it can be about food banking or any other subject. When you compare giving this to one person, to an association, it will impact really, really large. And I believe that that's why I'm in food banking business as a volunteer.
Your donations given to the organizations that already have the legwork in place and that have the connections with the warehouses and the production and the farms, that goes much further. So when somebody donates, we'll do dollars, $1, $5, $25, especially with the conversion now, your donations go so much further, especially helping those underprivileged communities and the communities really being challenged with the impact of poverty and inflation and slower economy. So, if you're out there thinking, oh, well, this $1 or this $5 isn't going to go that long. Every amount makes a difference, and every amount helps us to really strengthen these organizations and the support that we're giving to the people in the communities in need. Poverty is a topic of concern all over the world right now, and the COVID pandemic has only made it worse for many of these underprivileged communities, from job losses to housing losses, to the rising cost of food, which we can see in our communities everywhere. But I do remember specifically, my mother shared a story with me recently. She lives in a town near Foça, where she said that every time the pazar, the food market, or the food farmers market, I guess is the translation, is created, after it closes, she sees so many families now scavenging to find rotted tomatoes or whatever fell out, because the cost of food has gone up so much. So now these families that have a mother and a father and 2 kids, like you said, like a family of 4 or a family of 5, are seeing much bigger challenges. And that's the kind of situation people are being put in. And she said that she sees it so much more often now. I think that not just in Turkey, but all over, we are truly seeing these types of situations. And the best thing that we can do is truly mobilize together, work with organizations like TİDAR and TPF that are familiar and are doing the legwork. So please, if you're watching this program, and if you have the ability to do so, we ask that you do contribute and help us to make a greater impact. Nil, thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you very much. You're explaining in great way. My English is not very good, but thank you for understanding us and talking for us. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's joined our program. We look forward to seeing you next month with another Voices of Partners. In the meantime, please donate.tpfund.org or www.tpfund.org to learn more about how we're working in our communities and how to make a difference. Thank you so much, Nil.